Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Godafets here with Belial and Major Winters, and we're gonna do a course
You're gonna make
run
me
through.
edit all of this out.
Well, hey there, how you doing there, Godafets? Oh, pleasure as always.
Well, absolutely. Well, let's go
Hey, how
down
you
to the
doing?
first tee where Belial's
Ready
gonna
up,
explain
fuck.
to us exactly what you need to look out for.
Well, what would you say it is,
Nothing.
Belial?
Nothing. Apparently, we're gonna end the stream because fucking can't fucking even ready up.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, we're all readied up, waiting
Go
for you.
for it.
I'm gonna wait till like we're starting to load in. Fucking amateurs, man. Here we go. Welcome everybody. We're welcome to our major preview on the I think it's Amaryllis Club in Barbados. Our third major is upon us. Is it our third? I think it's our third. Is it our second?
It might be second, yeah.
It's our second major. Welcome my co-hosts and main hosts, Winters. How's it going, man?
Hello there.
Doing great, Belial. How are you?
My name is John.
Fucking doing dandy there, bud. How you doing, Fets?
Hanging in there. Let's look at this hole one.
Off on the right foot. Have a nice tee shot. Take
Belial, what you
So
got?
basically what we're doing, what we're doing today is we're gonna go through each hole. We have day one pin locations on. We're gonna go through holes, kind of ideas around the hole. We're gonna each take a hole as a priority, so it'll go me, then it'll go Fets, then it'll go Winners, with each other chiming in. Obviously, you guys can only see my screen, so my screen is the focus, obviously for viewing purposes. But here we go. So hole number one, almost a 600-yard par 5. Kind of a doozy. Obviously, you want to aim for the left-hand side. It doesn't really matter. Kind of anywhere on that left side is preferred. The only thing you will have to watch out up here is the trees. So preferably the right side of the fairway, but not too right, obviously, because we do have this sand trap right here. So let me just tee off. And we start off with a slow, but it doesn't matter because we're going right in the spot. Down the hill.
Nice. Okay. Let's line this shot up. We have about
Best case
Okay.
scenario is probably you want to end up a little bit on the right to make sure you get around all the trees on your second shot.
As you can see, obviously probably want to be a little bit more right here. I got a little bit left to right slope on the green. We do have an elevated green to everything here, so most likely you're not going to be going for it for 2. Obviously you can, but as you can tell on the front portion of the green, it does roll off left to right. So possibly here the safe play is to just lay it up about right here.
nice.
Yeah, I tried to rip a 3-wood with a big hook. The fairway slopes left to right as well, so I ended up kicking into that bunker on the front right side of that green. Not a good spot. Up and down for birdie though.
So there's
No trouble.
there's the layup right in front of the green here. We got an easy little flop shot with it being 10 feet elevated. It's not too bad. As you can see, it also rolls right to left off. It also, you have that little slope to work with if you somehow get it over there, but most people won't be going over there anyway. So let's do the flop with some high loft here and get some spin going. And we got a decent shot.
Here we go for your birdie.
We got faster greens on Amaryllis as well. So be prepared for that. Obviously, lots of slope. As you can see, Fetch just missed his there.
Yeah.
And I missed mine.
All right, a little 6-foot putt here.
Winners, it looks like you were the only one to make it.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah, he
kinda
got
used to that,
really
to be
close on his
honest.
layup.
That is
I had to go out of that bunker, yeah. I had about a 41-yard shot out of that bunker with 86% of a lie, and just hit a full 55-yard pitch, and it got me
coming
two
off
inches from the
par
hole.
on the
So
last one.
we'll take
Let's
it.
see what happens here.
There you go, Fetch.
Hole
on to you.
2, simple par 3. Little bit of a hazard area, about 50 to 80 yards in front of the green, which has a slope on the back of it and the front. So trying to aim with a little bit of extra power would be to your benefit, as you will probably roll off of the green if you get to that front left area. It's a little bit of a downhill elevation. Only it's 11 feet, but it shouldn't be too much for you to have to club down or anything. No real hazards from the trees or anything. It's pretty straightforward.
Ooh, it looks like you're going to be putting. Nice, you're on the putting surface. I think you could two putt from there. Great putt in there for birdie.
I took your advice exactly, Fets, and it worked. It's nice too, because what you guys are describing, like when you guys are on the tee box, I can kind of like do my stuff around what you're saying too.
Well, you guys
went through
just
zero
birdie there, huh?
Yeah, we
sure.
did.
Okay, let's see what happens here on this.
Let's see.
Par 4.
Par 4 here.
Go
Looks
ahead
like
and
a
drop
bit
this
of a
one into the
dogleg
fairway and
right.
Take it from there.
Let's see. No, I might just have to dive in here and see what I'm looking at. Ooh, we got a little bit of a carry at the end here. It looks like an elevated green that we're working into. Sort of an 8-shaped green with the pin on the left side today. False front with a back that has some runoff as well. So this is going to be all about that approach shot and making sure you keep it on the right level.
So then where do you want to go off the tee shot? What are you thinking the tee shot here?
So it looks like it's defaulting to a layup with a 3-wood, which is, you know, naturally as a gun-toting American from Texas, I don't like to lay up very often. But honestly, I think if I hit a full driver here, I'm going to run off into the sand or the rough. I'm actually going to stick with the layup here. I'm not going to try to cut off too much. It's 376. I know I'm not going to have a lot in either way, so I'm going to stick with the 3-wood off the tee here. Make sure I'm in the fairway.
So far, so good for this one.
And even that ran
Gotta
into
factor
the
in there as well that the
And
fairway
looks
is
like we have
also
about
downhill
135 yards or so
on your
to
tee
go.
shot, so the 3-wood would definitely be the better choice just off of that default alone.
Yeah, even the
Okay,
3-wood for me.
and I am in the fairway here
Okay.
as well. So I'm
So,
133 out right now, saying pitching wedge, elevated green.
Yeah, so
So in 5
133 pitch
interface.
wedge is a 132-yard club, 5-mile-per-hour wind in your face. I'm probably going up to a 9-iron here, and probably just hitting that full, like right at this flag, and just accepting that as kind of the good line, good distance to get after it.
As I got closer than both of you, I don't have a gap wedge in my bag, so I kind of had to lay up or try to not go full power on a pitching wedge. We all missed the green, it looks like.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
still rolled
this-
off the front, so even then.
Yeah, this one's a little tricky. I mean, there's obviously an elevated green. There's a very small landing area here to keep it on the green. There's a lot of runoff around the edge, so this one's gonna be a pretty interesting hole. Like this is a hole where if you make a birdie, you leave here feeling pretty happy. But yeah, it's a fun hole. You know, you can try to bite off a little bit more with the driver, maybe. This is one where in round 1 I might hit 3-wood. Round 2 I'm hitting driver.
You want to be really
it.
risky with it. You could try to swing that ball over to the right on your tee shot with a driver.
Stay right there at
Try to risk going through all the trees or risk not getting enough of a draw over to the right and going into the far rough.
Okay, this is the 4th hole.
Absolutely. Okay, number 4. A personal favorite of mine. Get you to ready up there, Fets. I can show them here. So downhill fairway, a little bit tricky with the wind going back to the right. Obviously, the idea is you have 2 options. You can either stay up on the hill, but you're going to have a longer iron in, seeing as it is a 450-yard par 4. My play is usually left edge with the 9-mile-an-hour. Try to get it down in that little gully in the fairway there. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for here.
I believe Winters and I both missed it.
And I
Sure
am
did.
down in the fairway.
Good stuff. Okay, about 130 yards out.
The only thing tricky here is if you get to the downhill area, you are going to have a downhill angle towards the green, which your carry is going to be a little bit affected here. And with it being 16 feet down, it's still going to affect your shot. So in this one here, since it's going just 8 to the side, and it's not really going in our face or anything like that, I would recommend a club down. Be careful if you're not, because it does tilt front. too back there to the back right. But if you are short, you do risk obviously going in the water here as well. So I'm going to try to see if I can do that. And with the downhill lie, like I said, your ball will carry just a tad. And there we are.
Okay, you're on the green now. 5-footer here, nothing too bad.
Good shot.
Thank you. I'm just going to tap this one in.
Perfect.
Just tap it in.
But yeah, if you guys want to ready up off the tee, I can kind of like show them where you're pointing to as well. And then I can kind of like hit that shot that you guys are recommending as well.
Sure.
Okay, par 5.
Over to you though, Fitz.
All right. Par 5.
What am I doing?
528 yards-ish. It's just this fairway is less narrow than some of the other ones we've seen so far, so it should be a pretty straightforward driver down the fairway, no problem.
Great contact.
No fairway bunkers or any real hazards to deal with, so it should be pretty
Okay,
straightforward.
looks like
Now,
about
for your second shot,
235 yards.
the 37 or so feet of elevation, depending on like what my other two compatriots here are seeing, it really should turn off any idea of going for the green 100%, because that is water a little bit over to the front, and you will drop into it if you try to go for the green here. Yeah, I just hit a fast shot, so I'm about to demonstrate that.
I just hit
Oh
driver.
no, I got by it.
And I'm on the green, but I'm putting from about 125 feet away, because the way the approach, like that last little bit leading up to the green, it kicks your ball right. So with this left pin, I'm putting from 120 feet away, and if I make
So
this,
fun fact
I
there, I was
promise to
just
clip
saying
it.
that you shouldn't go for it. I just hit it
As I was
fast,
going for it.
so I thought I was going into the water, and I got beyond it. So if you play your cards right and somehow hit a fast shot intentionally from 230 or so away, you might be able to get away with it, but you shouldn't try to. It shouldn't be your first instinct. Of course.
I was going to say too, I think I was the only person that went into your area that you prescribed. So
Nice.
there we go.
that's a fun one. I think I did
Definitely
make
one
it to the
that
green
I
in
think players will
2.
take a risk at.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's
I
a
wanna
way
make
for you to
the
make
too,
that
but
green into it's a real boost for your round as a whole. But the safe play should be the first option,
Okay,
100%.
hole number 6.
Winters, over to you.
Sure. All right, par 4 here. Let's get a look at this tee shot. So at first glance, it's kind of interesting. You can kind of go left or right with this tee shot. We're not by any means trying to drive this green. I think really here all I'm thinking about is what's my angle into this flag, right? It's all about leaving yourself some room for the ball to kind of bounce and roll out. This should be a longer approach in. We're not hitting like a wedge into this green. So I think I want to make sure I have a good angle where my ball can bounce and roll up towards the flag if I want a chance at birdie. So I'm probably going to go
Where would
left.
you like me to hit this tee shot?
I like the
Left
left
side?
fairway here, yeah, and I'm probably going to hit like a 3-iron because it's severely downhill. I think the 3-iron keeps me in the fairway at least.
I went for the right fairway with a massive draw to try to sneak my way to the fairway, and I got it
3-iron.
perfectly.
So you know you are deep down.
3-iron did not even keep me
3-iron
in.
might be long.
I'm in the rough with a 3-iron.
Yeah, it is a
Looked
downhill
like
tee shot, so you will carry for farther than you think, especially
Yeah.
because at least for me, I had 7 miles an hour of a wind going forward.
You might be seeing a 12 on here, boys. I'm by the fence.
I know. I don't know if I can quite get it up. Yeah, so
Could be in the rough
let's just
here.
say this now. If you don't land in the fairway, the
Ouch,
rough on
no
this
good.
course will
have
eat you
landed
up.
out of
It's
bounds. Gonna
it's-
re-hit.
you're losing 30 yards from the rough on this course. So I would just say go ahead and do whatever you need to do to keep in the fairway. Exaggerate that if you have to make sure you're in the fairway.
This is good
I'll be
stuff
lucky
here.
to save par in
we
this
are
hole
looking at
because
around
my tee shot was not in the
185 yards
fairway.
to the pin.
But again, it's good to pay attention to those angles. You know, leave yourself some room for the ball to roll out towards the flag versus, taking a worse angle in.
On the green, well done. 10-footer here. This is makeable.
I just want to say, ending up by the fence is absolutely wild. I'd have do a full shot back to the other fairway and then hit across and then get lucky and make, what, a double?
Yeah, that hole's
Definitely
basically, do you want to play it safe on the left fairway and have a longer approach, or do you want to risk it and go for the right, risk having a massive screw up, but having an easier approach? Well, I already...
The left, I will say, was brutal.
Start fresh.
Absolutely. I think right might be more dangerous, but I think it's a bigger payoff because I think you have an open, more of an open green with it, with the approach, but definitely something, depending on hole location, I agree with Winners there, is something that to look out for as well. So this one, down 42 feet. This one's interesting. So we have a 4 feet in the back. So obviously it's going to push our ball back in our face just a tad. A personal favorite of mine here is sand wedge to hit, but with the wind being in our face on this one, I'm actually going to hit the gap wedge. Move it over just a tad to the right. And then I'm going to do a little bit of high loft on it here as well.
Is that a splash I heard?
Yeah, that was a splash. I put too much loft on my
up.
sand wedge and I ended up splashing.
Right,
So that's something you definitely want to be careful
I
for.
think this can go.
Matter of fact, I almost splashed again. Without any loft.
So I put it,
so it's kind of,
I put it to about 10 feet here.
kind of a 50-50.
Nice pot out there for the birdie.
Well, I
Yeah,
would just say
loft
this
is
one's kind of
definitely
all
important
about club selection and just sort of, you know, it's a fairly straight
most
shot.
of the time most of the time I'm hitting sandwich on that one, but if wind's in your face, I feel more comfortable with more club.
And after that,
Because if I hit sandwich there, I'm in the water like Fetz said.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to get a gap wedge for this tournament because that's 2 holes now that I've really needed a gap wedge on an approach and it just messed me up entirely.
8th hole coming up here. Let's take
Over
a
to you,
shot.
Fetz.
Alright, hole 8. It's a bit of a fun par 5, 518 yards. Little slight dogleg over to the left on the tee shot. It's very downhill, so if you are able to get to that left side of the fairway, you're going to get a very good roll, which would require a little bit of a draw more likely than not, depending on how the wind is looking for the tournament.
Yeah, and also if you're a lefty, it'll be a fade for us. So I'm gonna show you that shot because that's the shot that I will be running during the tournament, and I think it's one that is very important. For
So
this
if you
one,
want, if you want to
angle.
take a less risky tee shot, you definitely want to lay up with a 3-wood or maybe even like a 2-iron or 5-wood or something. But every round I'm going for a driver with
the
that
danger zone.
curve to the left. On the second shot, there, of course, there's the hazard a little bit, really close to the green actually, and with a 39-foot elevation downhill, it can kind of play with your mind on whether you want to club down too often. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to club down once, and I'm going to put a good amount of loft on it because I'm confident it's going to carry past the water, but I don't want it to get to that back end of the green because that's going to be really messy to try to make my way to the hole from there.
One thing too that I did is I put mine in the rough there a little bit. So if you do end up going in the rough, I think going for it into is out of the question. With the hazard being there in front, I don't think it's worth it. I could have went for it, but I most likely would have been swimming. So I laid up here, unfortunately, because of my shitty tee shot. But
I ended
One
up
that definitely
within
can get
7
aggressive.
feet of the green for an eagle putt, so this is definitely one of the more eagleable par 5s on this course.
Pot for the birdie.
So long as you are wary of the obstacles and how to handle them.
You brought things down to 3
I
under.
think I still ended that with a birdie
You
shoot.
can
So
see
even
I
if
was
like
not.
sorry, even if it's tricky. Like sometimes since there's 3 of us in here, we
And
talk
we
all the
have
time,
ninth
right?
hole
So it's
coming up.
tough. But with what Fetz was saying is like if you're in position to go for it, I think it's a very eagleable hole. But if you hit it like me off the tee shot, it's a very manageable hole where you can still birdie. So don't get too aggressive. Don't ruin the hole. Just play it out, keep going, and strive for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Winners, what were you saying?
Yeah, so looking at this one, we can't ignore. So at first, when I'm looking at this tee shot, I level up to driver just to see like where a driver would land. and I see that everything wants to slope down towards that nice little dock into that beautiful little lagoon. So I honestly, it's back to back here, but even with wind in my face, I'm gonna lay up to a 3-wood. Again, this is a short hole. Like, I don't need a ball bouncing in the water, so I'm just gonna lay up with a nice little 3-wood. Take driver out of play. There's no need for it. It's gonna be a wedge in regardless, and this is all about making birdie on a hole like this. So why risk putting your ball in the water? 75 yards in on the approach. Something probably similar for you, Bilal. Probably maybe 73, 74.
Yeah, 74.
Yeah, so it's a little pitch shot. This is like where, this is where kind of you make up your ground. Can you dial in a little pitch shot here and change the loft slightly to make sure you end up close to the hole? There's a little break right to left, right by this pin. You could throw it into that break if you wanted to, or just go straight at the flag. It's a relatively flat green.
As someone who's pretty aggressive off the tee, of course, I went driver and I ended up with a 40-yard flop shot. So it's pretty straightforward on that. If you're able to keep it to the right of the fairway, it's definitely beneficial for you. But just like we've been saying for most of these holes, the instinct should definitely be to play the safer option.
Decent little putt there.
Yikes.
Yeah, I agree. I think too, it's like another one, a risk reward, right? I think if you have wind, a little bit maybe facing right, driver may not be too much of a dangerous play. But the thing is, if you miss that green, even a yard to the left, you're rolling down there and you risk going in the water.
3 under for the
So I think I agree with Winters in that one. I'll be laying up and putting a wedge in because I can usually put a wedge in within 15 feet, right? So I think it's one of those where I think you take advantage of the short hole and go for the birdie, not the overwhelming eagle, which most people won't make anyway.
See what you can do.
On to number 10. So this hole, personal unfavorited hole. I hate this hole so much, and I don't know why. So it's down 56 feet, but we have 7 in the face. This one fucks with me. I don't know about you guys, but it fucks with me so much because I want to leave it and loft it. That's the idea. But with a 6, I don't feel like the loft's as true as something like a 7. So I might actually hit a 7 here and hopefully get the roll out because it rolls from the middle to the back and then the back towards the hole location here. And I think that's the safer play, in my opinion, because everything funnels towards the hole here, right? So
my first instinct, as soon as I see the 50-something elevation downward on top of the wind being in our faces, club down once, lofted a good amount. And I hit it fast, and I still ended up relatively, like, hole level in terms of distance. So
I hit mine slow there off the green,
that.
and it rolled to about 6 feet. Like I said, it's okay to miss, but if you're missing, miss left, because everything funnels down.
Yes.
Oh, chip in there.
Nice. Yeah, one of those holes that's, for me, a least favorite, because if you miss that, like I said, anything right or anything off, you can be in, like, when a pin location's in that top left shelf, and you missed a little bit right, you're down where this hole location is now, I think it's a big possibility of a 3-putt for sure.
Keep an eye on that wind.
All right, hole 11. I think it's the longest par 5 on the course. I'm not 100%. 598 yards, but don't let that fool you and make you think it's difficult. Your tee shot will carry. This is a massive downslope hole. The pin is 247 feet from the tee shot, and the wind is 11 miles an hour ahead of us. So this is going to go far, probably like in the 350-yard range, just off of the tee shot with pro clubs.
Nice swing.
It's actually in that area of
370 almost.
enough of a carry for you to like have to worry about the fairway bunkers in the middle there, which I think Winters got really close to getting into.
I sure did. I hit it right in those bunkers there, Fats.
So second shot.
The layup is going to be really interesting here because we've got the little waterfall going here, and it's probably about 35, 40 yards-ish off the green. It's a risk to club down, even with the 57 feet. You would definitely prefer to miss a little bit past the hole rather than a little bit before getting to it. Although if you do miss far, you're missing. You're going into the abyss. So you really got to play your distances right here. Maybe even if you're really not feeling it, like you're not going to have 11 miles an hour in your direction on your tee shot each time. So you would probably want to just lay up into the fairway in front of the waterfall and play it safe. Since we got the tee shot to our benefit, I'm going to hit a 2-iron to try to carry past that waterfall and get to the green.
Yeah, I'm going to hit to the green here as well to show the down 58 feet. I think I'll still carry it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll off that. Let's go. And I got like 2 feet for eagle.
Shaping up, putting for eagle next. And there's
Yeah, like I said, for the most part, that water is intimidating, and you're not always going to get 11 mile an hour on your back, I think. So I think Fetz is right where a layup is.
Yeah, most holes, most situations, you're definitely going to want to lay up there, unless you're feeling really confident.
Par 4 here. Let's have a nice, clean drive.
Well, this was a fun one for you winners. One of my personal dislikes as well.
It's one of the most aesthetic holes on the course, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, let's first say, what a beautiful waterfall. This one, obviously a risk reward. Do you want to go up to the right side or drop this down to the left side? Keeping in mind, if you hit this tee shot to the left side, it looks like it wants to kick left into that rough. I don't want to be in the rough on this approach. You know what I mean? You look at that water and all that carry you have to make into this green. I don't want to be on the left. So I'm going to go up to the right here, Bilal.
Okay.
And let's...
And I will go to the left. I hit the trees on the way in, so I just got a nice simple roll to the middle of the fairway.
A middle fairway right on my tee shot.
Nice. And
170 in, down 15 feet. I'm going to probably drop this to a 7-iron. And raise the loft just slightly. With a little wind at my back. Just throw a nice little straight little approach into this pin. Nothing crazy. Yep. It'd give us a good little look at birdie. So I feel like on the right side you have a pretty straightforward approach shot. Elevation isn't dramatic, wind isn't dramatic, and you know, it's all about just making a putt. Which, if I can put myself in a position where I'm just having to make putts, that's kind of where it all falls for the most part anyway. So I'm okay with that.
Well, I got to tell you, boys, so far with these tips, dropping 7 under through what is that, 12, 13 holes, I'm A-okay with that, that's for sure.
Under for the round.
Well, now it's time to hear your lovely tips on the 13th, Bilal.
Well, let's see. What do we got? Another par 5, 535 yards. This is actually a personal favorite of mine for the par 5s. Pretty easy. The only thing you do have on this one is in front of the green after I hit my tee shot. Middle of the fairway. It doesn't really matter where you go on this one.
Oh, tee shot's looking good here.
But the second shot's where it gets interesting. So this is one that most people will go for because there's no real hazard minus a bunker. But if you look at it, there's a huge hill right in front of it, which will slope down. So if you're anything, even like the first couple yards on the green, you will be short. As you can see, it's also elevated 47 feet for me. So I'm going to club up to a 3-wood here. Green tallies off to the right. Green also falls towards the hole in the back left. And you can also see the slope of the fairway is really right to left for me. So for me, this will go to hard to my left. So I'm going to aim there. Just hopefully get up. And I did the thing where you're short. And as you can see, you're rolling all the way back down.
I ended up with a 79-foot putt away for eagle, and I'm waiting on Bilal's shot to get to the green for me to putt this. Winters got really close. I think he was able to lay up for birdie.
Yeah. I luckily made to the top ridge of that hill you referred to. I just made to the ridge so I didn't roll back, and then it was a pretty easy 2-putt for birdie from there. Had a chance at eagle.
And as you can see, even down here on the bottom of the hill, you're about roughly 20 feet still below the green. So with 5 mile an hour back in my back forward, I feel confident with hitting it the same distance. I'm just going to go for it here. See if we can get it close. A little bit of roll up, but yeah, on the uphill swings as well. Your ball is going to stop a little bit quicker here as well. See if I can make a birdie. Beauty.
Great putt, and there's your birdie.
I think definitely a big focus. I think what we're saying on this course is setting yourself up for success. Like even if like there I missed a green, is making sure that you're still in good position and setting yourself up to make those birdies. Because I don't think if you get yourself in the rough, if you get yourself in a bunker, stuff like that, you're going to shoot really, really high. It's one of those courses that you can't really afford to make a mistake on. Sorry, winners.
No, I was going to say that I'd say that so far playing this course, it's all about risk reward, and it's very easy to find yourself shooting over par on a course like this if you don't just like mitigate risk and play it safe.
Speaking of mitigating risk, okay, so this is definitely a layup par 4 unless you have master clubs. If you have that 285-yard driver, you might feel tempted enough to go for it, which I think you should with the 49 feet downward, but most likely you're not using masters, so a layup with
that's on me.
Not even a 3-wood. I would honestly lay up with something shorter than that.
3-wood carries into the rough. Disclaimer.
Yeah, it is downhill. It is a downhill
far.
fairway, so I hit a 2-iron. Belial hit a 3-wood and ended up in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty straightforward. The risk is right in your face, and you definitely don't want to take it unless you have the proper tools, the proper distance. And even then, it might not end in your favor.
It's a fun one, though. I could see some people going for it. And PHJ, I'm talking to you, Mr. Master Club guy.
Downwind,
I better see you going for that one. Yeah, even like pro guys, like depending on the wind, if we have a massive in the back wind, I could see somebody going to the left of the green and having a pitch. But even then, just take your medicine, lay up, make the birdie, move on.
Well, here we are. I finally get a par 3. Very exciting. Let's see what kind of elevation change. Beautiful bunkering here. Okay, we have a 244-yard par 3. Wind in my face. 3-wood goes 233. Hole, the pin's 244 with a little bit of elevation downhill. I'm just going to hit a full 3-wood.
Belial, wait on your shot for a second. Just zoom in on it and use LT to zoom out a little bit. The bunkers just look like eyeballs, and it looks like the rock formation's like a smile. It looks like the hole's taunting you.
Literally, it's just like, yeah, you're fucked. So, I think, I was talking about that part earlier.
It's just a 3-wood for the most part. It's just a 3-wood at the hole. This isn't really a birdie hole, but if you end up with a pretty good, good luck, great. If not, it's a feasible two-putt par.
Shot. We can 2-putt from here. Okay, let's see what
you
can do.
That's put it within 10 feet each.
Great putt in there for birdie.
There you go. Would you hit 3-wood there?
Yeah,
we hit 3-wood. The wind being in our faces kind of worked in our benefit, but that's not going to happen every hole.
Sure. 3-wood, right at the hole.
Round,
if it kicks left, kicks right, whatever. Either a good look at birdie or you walk away with a pretty safe par. Nothing really nothing too crazy going on with that hole.
Okay, let's see what happens here on this par 4.
Okay, number 16. This is one that the first bunker on your right will actually deceive you. So this one here is actually slightly elevated. So even though I would just make sure you're safe, go to the middle. Don't try to jump the corner too much. Just go standard down the middle and have yourself a nice little wedge
Powerful stuff, my friend.
Careful, if you drive it too far left, you will bounce into the early thin rough, like light rough or heavy rough there, so be careful. And like I said, you just have an easy pitch up. So it shouldn't be too bad here for this one.
A gap wedge would be really nice to
Let's
have
hit it very
right
slow.
now.
Let's hit it very slow and terrible, like I just did.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway for this course is have a gap wedge for this tournament. That's 3 holes where I could have had a much
That'll
better
work,
approach if I
Park.
had a gap wedge.
I think you are the only person that I know that does not run a gap wedge, though. So
I
will
think
say,
there
yeah,
was a tournament earlier
I
in the season where I just knew a gap wedge, or like I needed to have a full set of like distance irons, and I just took the gap
And
wedge
that'll
out, and I
keep
just
you at
haven't
10 under
bothered
for the round.
fixing it.
try to make sure I keep a few wedges in the bag at all times. I think I gave up my 4-iron. Is the club
Okay,
missing right
17th
now?
hole. Take your best
Oh,
shot.
this wonderful hole 17 par 3, overlooking by the wonderful bit of waterfalls in the background from the lovely hole that Winters showed us earlier. 48 feet downhill. This is definitely at minimum of 2 clubs down for me. For me, I would much rather prefer to land a little bit off to the right if I had the choice. For me, it's just easier to lay up like that rather than
do you
having
go
it
2
roll
clubs down
deep
there, or
and
are you
left.
taking 3 clubs?
I did 2 clubs down, and I'm gonna loft it.
Okay, then I will copy you. Let's see. Go in.
Sweet. Okay, here's your putt for
Good
birdie.
call.
Close on.
I appreciate that one.
Nice.
And I find that even if you go past the hole a little bit there, there's not that much break. Sorry,
Sitting
but
at
my
11 under for the
there.
round.
Oh, you're
If you
fine.
if you use that little bit of loft that I recommended, you're definitely not gonna roll off the green by going a little bit further.
Something definitely to pay attention to when you go into any hole is if I'm below the hole, does that give me an uphill putt? If I'm to the left or right, what kind of putt does it give me based on where I land? And when you're hitting those approach shots, think about that. Okay, if I land short, I'll have an uphill putt. That's not so bad. If I go long though, however, I might have a really downhill putt, and that's dangerous. That could turn into a 3-putt. But I try to think about that stuff when I'm hitting my approach shots. Especially on a hole like that, like Bilal said, he's like, "Oh, I went a little long, still end up with a pretty easy putt." So like, you want to think about that when you're hitting your approach.
All right,
This one's
Winters
me.
finale time.
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. I mean, this is a pretty straight tee shot. There's not 2 fairways to look at. You just got to factor in the wind and play your tee shot based on the wind. Hopefully, end up in the middle of the fairway.
Well, what if you hit it slow and by the cart path?
Not sure how to hit an approach from there, but this is interesting. If I hit it dead center fairway, I have 214 to the pin, up 30 or up 23 feet. I'm kind of in between clubs here. I can either hit my hybrid, which goes 214, but I'm into the wind and uphill, or I hit my 3-wood, which might put me long.
In my experiences with shots like this, I'm
you're
gonna
heading into the
hit my
cabbage on this
214 2-iron on this because 23 feet of elevation isn't going to impact it too much at the end. Like, you're either gonna end up a little bit like short of the green, or you're gonna just get a little bit past the hole. Like, it's not gonna
Sure.
really hinder you as much as it looks like it will.
Yeah, I agree. I think a club like, if you're gonna be short with like a 9-iron and you should have hit an 8-iron, that can be detrimental. When you're short with like a 3 hybrid, it'll run out towards the hole anyway. So like, you're probably okay. I think you'll be okay. It'll still run out relatively close to the hole, so don't worry too much. When you're hitting those longer clubs in, so. Yeah, again, I hit that 3 hybrid into the screen. It was a layup. I hit a long shot at birdie. Missed the birdie putt. Relatively close to par. Nothing too much to worry about. Happened.
Maybe I'll see you there.
Maybe not for Fets though. Here, let's see.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Yeah, I really went for it on that one. I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, that's
But no, I hope
Amaryllis.
you guys enjoyed.
10 under
Again,
at the end
thank
of
you,
your
Winters.
round.
Thank you,
Well
Fets, for a
done.
quick run through of the course.
Okay, I am.
It's going to be a challenging one. It's going to be one that frustrates the fuck out of people. You know, I shot pretty well. I shot 11 under with those tips. But honestly, I feel like I said, if you play for the area rather than going for the best and being the most aggressive, I think you'll shoot a lot lower and closer. Like I shot, 10 under there. I think I bogeyed the last one, yeah, because I hit it in the rough. But I think that's the strat. I think that's the play. But obviously, this is our first one for a course review, course kind of tour preview. But we will be looking at doing these more often and obviously shaping it up and being as well organized as possible. But I think we did a pretty good job. And like I said, Feds, I think, and Winners, I think we did a great job. And is there any final remarks towards the course, boys?
Two things to really factor in for this tournament is the risks that present themselves in front of you, like the water hazards, the choices of fairways, and the big thing is the elevations on the holes. Like the 40 or 50 foot elevation upwards or downwards could really turn the tides on you if you don't know how to approach it. Like a 10 or 25 feet, something like that, isn't too much to worry about. But if you're talking like 30 something and up, you definitely would have to switch clubs off of that. That would be my last recommendation.
Yeah, I would say just play it safe. I know I ended up shooting like 1 or 2 under there, and obviously that's not going to win the tournament by any means. But to have a good, enjoyable round, avoid any big double bogeys or anything like that, just play it safe. You know, it's okay to lay up on this course. I don't think I hit any like really long, like 6 or 5 or 4 irons into any greens on this entire course, on par 4s anyway. It was driver, 9 iron, 8 iron, 7 iron, like nothing too crazy. So just play it safe with your tee shot. You can afford to hit 3 wood on a couple tee shots. Keep the ball in play, and you should end up, you know, under par or right around that even par mark, and that'll keep you in the hunt.
Absolutely. Well, again, like I said, guys, I appreciate you guys doing this with me. Obviously, short notice, we pulled through, and I appreciate you guys, like I said, again. But other than that, you guys have yourself a good night, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good night, guys.
All right, catch you later.
See you at the tournament.